Thank you.
What did he just?
I think you're hired.
Are you all set, Mike?
I'm the only one that can see them all. That's true.
Mr. Jabo,
The same as
okay.
I'm getting crunched.
Yeah, maybe cancel our Monday, so we play for Saturday.
Oh yeah.
For last night, stayed in Houston and then flew home tonight. Oh, really? Well, I saw it right in front. I could feel the heat off the buses burning there. It was very interesting.
You done there business or pleasure?
It's a long weekend, suppose.
Long weekend?
I'd like to bring the meeting to order. If you could join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to the approval of minutes of May 28th, June 25th, July 30th, August 27th, September 24th, and October 22nd.
Make a motion to approve all those.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Moving to correspondence, I think Mr. J. Oh, sorry. That's probably best.
Kevin Brightsky.
Here.
Bob Gilliam.
Here.
Craig Kenworthy.
Here.
Arvid Markner.
Here.
Pamela Mishler-Fish.
Here.
Ed Morales.
Here.
Red Stone.
Here.
Nikki Witkowski.
Here.
Rick Burns is absent. He's on vacation. Mike Jabo's here. Susan Hale's here. And Ernie Scott McClures. You have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to correspondence, I think Mr. Jabo would like to say a few words.
Well, there's a couple things. I don't know if some of you have watched in the paper House Bill 1001 down in the legislature. In short, what Attorney McClure and I found in the bill that it was going to say they could put duplex accessory dwelling units in any residential development whatsoever by right. There would be no opportunity for public comment. We could deny unless we had really good reason because we didn't have septic, sewer, water, or anything like that. There were other provisions to it, but the by right clause was kind of the biggest heartburn, I think, for the county goes. Commissioner Morales last Wednesday testified to the Senate subcommittee or committee on the bill. Some changes were made, and it's a House bill. The Senate made on the floor some major changes that got it to our liking, but there's a lot of reporting we got to do, and we'll report that to you and what we got to do as a body. We have to look at what the demand is for housing of that type, et cetera, like that. We have to look at our UDO and our zoning maps to see if we've got that adequately covered to feed that demand. So another, the bill in its current form, a lot of the organizations like Association of Indiana Counties, Indiana Associated County Commissioners, AIM, which is cities and towns, et cetera. I think Indiana Professional Surveyors even spoke up on one of the major things they said, it took away home rule. But I think to a certain point, the Senate listened. They changed the bill drastically to kind of bring it back to reality, I'd like to say. And then today at the House approved the changes. So thank goodness everybody spoke up. I think that would have been very confusing, very disorganized, and it had a lot of unintended consequences if it passed in the current form. So we look forward to the legislature to achieve the goal of affordable housing, but doing it in a more organized fashion. So just a brief report on that. Before you, I don't know if Benjamin, if you can put on the screen, I had a PowerPoint presentation. Tonight you're going to be hearing a couple cases, both of them design waivers. Some of you are new on here, so we did some training on it. Just a refresher, and I handed out to each of you a one-sheet piece of paper what design waivers mean. So design waivers, sometimes when people come in, they can't do certain things, such as the list, the item list, agenda. And so the petitioner, who's going to be both of them tonight before you ask them to design waivers, so they can go on the next stage, which may be a subdivision or something like that. The important thing is what's in the gray box on your paper. You have to approve it based on finding your fact. Can be injurious to public health, safety, morals, general welfare of the community. It will not adversely affect adjacent properties. The need for a design waiver stems from an unusual or peculiar condition of the subject property and results in an unnecessary hardship that is not financial in nature. Approval should not in any way vary the provisions of Chapter 2, which is zoning, or Chapter 5, which is the subdivision design standards, and that it remains consistent with the comp plan. So you can approve waivers, you can deny waivers, you can have conditions to them, pick and choose. Now, I don't want to scare you if you don't give design waivers. It's pretty common to give design waivers all the time. Design waiver, the granting of design waivers is the responsibility, like you all know, of the Plan Commission. When it comes to development standards, variances, that's the purview of the BZA. So I just want to cue you up right. You're hearing two variance cases, and we want to stay focused on the purpose of the waivers. There's other activity that's going to occur. You'll see in the report. Some of them already appeared in the BZA. We get some development standard variance that's already taken care of. I'm sure the petitioner will remind us of that. So I just want to keep really focused on the purpose of the design waivers. So with that, Mr. President, we can proceed.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on to new business, case number DW-2025-26. Evangelia L3. This is seeking design waivers for proposed 3-lot major subdivision. Before we turn it over to the petitioner, does staff have anything?
Yes, Mr. President. Again, like I said before, they're here primarily to get a design waiver because eventually what they want to do is amend their primary plat. In 2022, they did get the property. They are further subdividing one of the parcels. The large parcel is left over. So now they're re-asking for the waivers because if you read the report, basically changed things because they weren't intending 2022 to subdivide it. Now they're before you ask. Eventually they'll subdivide it again, but they need some design waivers in which to do that. So with that, they can introduce their case.
Thank you. If you'd like to state your name.
My name is Rich Piazza. I'm the project manager, Coral Marsh. Address is 111 East Third Street in Hobart, Indiana. I'm here to seek design waivers for a proposed 3-lot subdivision. It's currently 110.51 acres that we would like to create 2 new buildable lots on the northeast corner of the parcel. The owner is with me to answer any questions that I don't have the technical answers for. As we are seeking, as listed on the agenda, 9 design waivers, 6 of which were originally awarded back in 2022. The additional ones are because of the lots and the way they face the public driveway. There will be no adverse effects to the adjacent property owners, as Mr. Alfieri lives next door and he doesn't want a bad product in his backyard. I'm here to answer questions.
Okay. This will have to be opened up to the public for comment first.
Conduct of public hearing. A public hearing before the commission. The petitioner and proponent shall first present the facts and arguments in support of the case. Those opposed to the petitioner shall follow. The petitioner shall have a rebuttal. It shall be within the discretion of the commission to impose any time limitation to the petitioner or the respondent, and to limit public comment to those who are determined by state statute to be interested parties. Written remonstrances shall be accepted by the commission, but not need to be read into the commission's record. This then concludes the public hearing. To maintain orderly procedure, each side shall proceed without interruption by the other. In presentation of a case, the burden shall be upon the petitioner to supply all information necessary for a clear understanding of the problem. The commission may continue the hearing when in its judgment the petitioner has provided sufficient evidence on which to make a determination. Every person appearing before the commission shall abide by the order and direction of the president. Discourteous, disorderly, or contemptuous conduct shall be regarded as a breach of the privileges of the commission and shall be dealt with as the commission directs.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to open it up to public comment.
Here. You're having a public hearing.
Public hearing, I'm sorry, public hearing. For those, does anybody would like to get up and speak up for this? You can come up and state your name and address.
Ben Austin, 81 West Division Road. I'll go.
Right into it.
You needed to too earlier.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you. What else do I need? Valparaiso, Indiana, 46385.
Good. Now you can ask a question, but not to him. Ask it before.
Just curious where this driveway is going to be. Where's the driveway going to be? Is it down near the other houses?
Okay, they will answer it when it's their turn.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I do it all the time.
Anyone else would like to speak either for or against, or any comment? At this time, we'll go ahead and, okay.
Steve Dynuski, 17 South, 100 West. My concern is what's going on? Are they subdividing the whole property, or are we just putting in one or two homes along the road? I'm confused of what's going on here.
Okay, we'll answer your question. Thank you. Anybody else would like to speak for or against, or any comments? At this time, we'll close the public hearing, and before we turn over to the members, staff have any? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Would you like to answer those questions?
So, as to answer the first question, where will the driveways be? The two lots will utilize the existing driveway that is currently being used and is in a driveway agreement between the parcel that we're subdividing and the neighbors. They will also, one of the lots will try to utilize one off a division, but that will be approved during the site plan and finalized during the final design. As for what's going on, Mr. Eleferi wants to subdivide two 2-acre lots at the northeast corner, as stated earlier, for his sons can build houses there and the family could be together.
Okay. Does staff have anything before?
Again, we'll refer you to the staff report on this one. As we said, they came in 2022 to just subdivide in two lots. The larger lot is the lot in which you're asking to take two more lots out of to put it in context. In 2022, they were granted certain design waivers at that time. They're now appearing before they wanted to again. But what was interesting to note at the time when they subdivided last time, they were asked by the Planning Commission before the vote, were they going to subdivide again? And they said they didn't see that in the future. Now I know things change, but here we are today. So now we got other design waivers. There's a whole list of them, and staff would be happy to help you define each and every one of them as you bring it up in your discussion. But this is the first step in another process. They're not at the subdivision control. That'll come back to you at another time. But tonight we're just dealing with the waivers.
Thank you very much. This time I'd like to turn it over to board members. Kevin, yeah, any comment?
Maybe we should start with the driveway part. I'll turn it on you. I don't know why mine was the only one that was off. The driveway they're using appears to be the common driveway. Is that correct?
Right.
Existing one?
It is.
For the-
It is a common driveway that has an agreement for the parcel that we're subdividing and the adjacent parcels. I spoke with the attorney who wrote the agreement to make sure that it doesn't need to be amended for these two lots. These two lots don't exist yet, so I can't amend to include them until the lots are created and the subdivision is there. So once that is done and the lots are created, we will amend the existing agreement to include the two new lots, R3 and R4.
And each of those lots is about 2 acres.
Each one is 2 acres.
And the remaining third lot is 105 acres, I think.
It's 110.5
Okay.
total, so it's 106.51. So yeah, 105-ish.
So there's one huge lot, and then the 2 small lots for new residents, presumably for Lucas's son, Mr. Eleftheri's son. We reviewed this at DRC a couple weeks ago, and I don't think we had anything negative about it. We went through a lot of what we thought were potential issues, but really had no problem with it, as far as I recall. And that's all I have.
All right, Red,
I don't have any.
Carmen?
Are you expecting any other changes? I hate to ask that.
No, I don't have any more kids, but no. But okay, I want to be honest with you, be up front. I was dealing with a different person back then when they were subdividing. Before it got approved, I mentioned to him about maybe adding, can we change it to 3 lots, adding my 2 sons? They said it'd be easy to do it afterwards. I'm finding out now that's not the case. It was a different engineer at that time. So otherwise, it could have been done back in 2022. And believe me, and I'm spending double the money now to add these 2 lots versus he would have just done it back then. I think they were too busy or just didn't want to go through the hassle of changing what was started, I guess. But as far as we bought this property back in '93, and the truthful intention back then, and we actually used Imobig to divide it into a subdivision, develop half of it and live on the other half. As we were living out there, we said we don't want that, and we wanted to make it more like a family compound. Every one of those 3 houses there was family. My sister moved to Texas, and the people next to me are as if they're family. So it's just going to be family. As far as unless when I'm gone, dead and gone, my mother's dead and gone. What happens after that, I cannot tell you. But right now, I only have 2 sons, and as far as that, that's why I wanted to do the 2 lots. One wants to build for sure. He just had a baby, and he's living with my mom because he sold his house already. We didn't know this process was going to take this long. I haven't done this in years, so it is. And my wife and I are not planning on having any more kids. So it's right now, all I can tell you, and honestly, I wasn't at the meeting when they said they were not going to add any more lots. I did not know of this until he said that. So it probably was that other engineer that said that time, and because I wasn't there at the meeting. So as far as I'm concerned, these are the last 2 lots, and otherwise I'm the one that maintenance everything there. I can't handle it anymore, anyways. But that's all I can tell you. So as far as I can see in the future, my son Samuel and Michael, they're the ones who are going to be living. They grew up in this area, and they want to stay with their family, and they love living in that situation the way we are right now.
Okay, thank you.
So, okay.
That's all I.
Nikki,
I'm good.
Commissioner.
I do. I got a couple questions. Give me a sec. So is this the piece in question right here at the very edge? Am I not reading that? Like, what piece are we talking about?
think this map is better.
Parcel here. Citing way. Go to the next page.
So this is the piece here.
This is the parcel.
Okay. And how much of this? So this is all your land here.
Yes,
Here, I don't have that page.
goes all along division, both directions,
That's all.
and
And these are 2 lots for your kids.
my sons,
Right.
yes.
And then looking at the notes from 2022, I guess we could fast forward 2026. We can't predict the future, but will there be any other? I mean, you have plans to make this a subdivision at some point?
No. In fact, we never went to the board because we changed our mind. We had spent all the money, had it all planned out and everything, and we just stopped the idea of doing it. I mean, I think there was a gentleman who used to work for Emo Big over there. And refresh your memory maybe of that. So we decided not to do it.
I don't have any more questions.
Greg?
Now you're just doing 2 lots, or you're doing 3 lots?
It's just, we're adding 2 more lots.
Okay, so that
My two,
lot that's on the northeast corner that's squared off,
Actually, is the
what is that?
plus acre lot is the one, and the 2 they're peeling off. That's how it's
Right.
right.
Okay, all right.
The 100 acres is my mom's house.
Yeah, yeah,
And then the other,
I kind of looked at the survey. I was
Yeah.
just trying to, as it split apart, I was just trying.
Mhm.
Now, this is more of a question. As you already got a road put in. Now let's just say down
there you go.
the future. Let's go to.
What you're looking at.
Can that road be used to be extended,
These-
or is that a private road? Do they have to come back in front of us to try and do it?
6.
That is one of the design waivers is dealing with whether or not you
That's
choose
just
that.
one lot
Give them that visual.
requirement for the main.
That they can extend?
Second from the top, the last one in the list on the staff report, that deals with the interior roads. Right now, it's just kind of a plain old driveway, for lack of another term.
And we're planning to keep it up private.
Yeah.
But if they were to
But-
change it, and add more, they'd have to come back again, right?
They would have to, but
Mhm.
here's the thing. Driveways are good when you got 2 houses. When you start getting more houses on it, they gotta be more bigger, more beefier. And then we also have a private road standard that pretty much tells what the county can to a certain degree, even if it's private.
So
So our staff's biggest concerns, I mean, you know, we could have concerns on everything, but our concern is now you're gonna have 5 lots on this driveway. That's another way to look at it.
Have any of you seen the driveway?
Is the standards, that's your burden to
It's about over 15 feet wide. It fits 2 cars, one going each way.
and how deep is it?
We put quite a bit of gravel down before they blacktop it, so I couldn't tell you, honestly, I couldn't tell you the exact depth of it. The beginning is very deep, support
And then how wide is the easement?
the exact footage, I can't tell. The beginning of the entrance is far wider because I added like a little turning lane for the mailboxes to get off.
I understand.
And then the road is about, the full width of the driveway is the easement, if not a little more. Because we have a main gas line going down that road.
How long is the driveway? About? Just guess.
The main drive before it splits off between the 3 houses is probably 400 feet, maybe more. I wasn't prepared to put this, but it's about that.
So the easement is 45.
Say again?
The easement is 400 feet by 45 feet in the agreement.
I guess.
Right.
I think where you
Yep. That's
run into problems is having a shared driveway. If these properties were ever sold, which I'm sure they would be at one time, there's always issues with shared driveways. They seem to never work out. And also with you coming before us and saying that these were not going to be subdivided again, and now here we are a few years later, going to add a few more. What's going to stop you from coming back again, add a few more? And with these design waivers, what hardships do you have that you cannot take care of any of these? Again, there's
So as it stands, because the lot has been subdivided so many times, it follows the category of a major subdivision. But what we're doing is not a conventional subdivision, so it does not fit the UDO. So these design waivers that we're asking for are hardships on the property because they don't fit the typical standard conventional subdivision. We're not doing roads with houses on each side. We're doing estates. We're doing family homes. So they don't fit there. So to bring it down from a major subdivision by rule, we're bringing it down to a minor sub. We're requesting that these design waivers be approved.
Because these were approved back when you first came before us for the amount that you had at that time. Now you're adding two more to this, and still request to have all these waivers.
We're adding two more because we believe that they weren't in the original one, that those waivers now meet what should have been done in the past.
Maybe we can help.
Good.
That if you give them the waiver, then they don't have to do anything at all, because it just goes away because they're a major subdivision. What you could ask them to do is you could give them the waiver, but say they have to apply to the minor subdivision standards. You could make that a condition. Then when they come in with their site plan, staff knows what to do. They can apply the minor subdivision standards to get what you want.
Well, one of the waivers does reference that too.
Well, to say it a different way, they're here on a major subdivision asking for waiver. If we were to grant the waiver they're requesting for the driveway, the issue is because we started off at major, we waive here at Plan Commission. When they come back up to the staff, they're a major subdivision. In that major subdivision, we don't contemplate a private road or a private driveway because it's a major subdivision. So it doesn't have the drop-down standard. In a minor subdivision, you have the drop-down standard. You have a normal public road or this beefed-up private road with an agreement, etc. So what we're trying to say, which is complicated to say out loud, is not anything they're doing, but because they've asked properly under the major subdivision for design. If you give the design waiver as requested, we don't have the backup to say, well, now on a minor, we're going to apply the minor subdivision because you have more than two homes on this private driveway. So what I believe Mike was trying to communicate was, if you are leaning towards giving the design waiver for the driveway, that we would like a condition to be that then the standard for the minor subdivision for that amount of houses on that driveway is applied.
Now, Lucas, do you have an agreement written up that takes over the maintenance of this driveway?
Yeah.
The other home?
Yeah.
You do have some.
Yeah. In fact, I think it was refreshed when they did the other lot in 23. In 23, I'm going to say that was one. In 23, it was even they wanted us to change some wording. I think I can't remember what it was, so it will be done back then. But there is a maintenance agreement between the three existing homes already, and we can add the other two homes, but at the same time, as he mentioned, we were talking about getting a private drive for the first lot off of Division possibly.
Oh, you came up with another driveway in for the first lot?
Yeah, off the Division, if that's, because this, I said, this is going to be an issue.
Oh, if it becomes an issue, that's something you wouldn't.
They would have to appear in the highway
Right.
according to standards if you got separation between driveways. If it's not, then you either got to get variances or you got to find another way.
So I know I know like when we got the existing driveway, we had to go
I think
to the highway department.
150 feet separation between something that we request. If you can't meet that,
How deep so
the other driveway, then
they're deep.
But regardless if he takes one out or not, he's Scott and I were trying to say, I think if you want to grant them the waiver to drive, which is the second from the top and the last one on the list, staff recommends you'll grant that they would have to adhere to the minor subdivision standards for their driveway or private road. simply put, yes. That's your choice, though. If you want to give a waiver, if you know, that's what we're here for.
Thank you. Do we have any other comments? Would anybody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the design waivers with the driveway subject to the minor subdivision standard. That seems equitable. And by the way, a lot of the things you're discussing about agreement were also discussed in DRC. I'm a big advocate of. Thank you.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
And everybody put your names under your script.
Come on. You ever heard of scribble yet? Voting now.
Yeah. We need signal.
Just to separate the blank ones.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's what?
Those are blank.
Those are blank.
They're extras.
The spares.
At least I think. I'm pretty sure I saw there were spares.
Oh, that's for that. Might as well pass them for that one anyway.
It'd be like Illinois. You vote more. I would leave vote often.
I almost said that about Gary, so that's where I grew up.
In the matter of case DW 2025-26, the votes are as follows. Craig Kenworthy, yes. Witkowski, yes. Pam Mishler-Fish, yes. Arvid Merkner, yes. Kevin Brightsky, yes. Bob Gilliana, yes. Ed Morales, yes. Fred, no. Motion passes 8-1.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Moving on to case DW-2026-3 St. Andrews Development. This is for R4 multiple family residential district, seeking a design waiver following 7.6 B1 interior street frontage residential and also 7.29B private streets. Does staff have any?
Just a
Thank you.
not to take wind out of the presentation. St. Andrews is a history. In fact, if a lot of you remember, Porter Memorial moved out there. It's now Northwest Health. This is a development immediately to the west of them. It stretches from US 6 north back in the early days of that time. A lot of these same faces that are presented tonight were created a rezoning starting CM closer to US 6, transition to office technology, transition then to R4, which is our highest multifamily residential living zoning, and then R1 to the far most north. There's a main road that goes through. It's Campus Center Drive. In 2020, came before in the north portion of the OT, they asked for a rezone to R, and it's the east half of that rezone that they got in 2021 R4 that they're asking for you tonight. So that's just a real brief history of the evolution of the property, sir.
All right, thank you. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Leith.
All right, thank you. My name is Todd Leith. I'm the attorney for this case and representing the developer, which was the original developer of the overall project that Mr. Jabo refers to. Tonight I'm joined at the table by John Kremke from Schneider Geometrics. He is the design professional for this project. Pat Clagy is in the first row here and as a representative of the ownership. Mr. Jabo is 1,000% correct. This has a long history. I'm not going to go through all of the history, but some of the important parts of that history that relate to just this part of the overall campus. So highlighted in yellow are the 4 lots that we're talking about today. And you can see this is a screenshot of the county's GIS system. And you can see the road, the spine road, as I call it, the Porter Campus Boulevard, lies to our west. There is a area on the north of the creek that is St. Andrews subdivision, and that fronts on 900 North. And that forms the northern edge of what is called St. Andrews. We started out calling it a medical campus. We renamed it to Porter Business Park shortly after it was originally laid out and developed in 2011, 2012. It's 109 acres, and it is in air quotes, PUD, planned unit development. But at the time, Porter County and the Unified Development Ordinance did not allow for planned unit developments. So we had to do gerrymandering zoning to get to what we were trying to accomplish, and that was a mixed use development in that entire mile of this property north to south. So this was the primary plat back in the day. Because it's a long and narrow, north is on the left and south Highway 6 is the right. And as you can see, we have a fair number of lots that had different zoning. This was the illustration that we showed in 2011 when we were talking about doing this gerrymandered or split zoning and the different areas and zones. You can see at the southern end, the red shade is the commercial along Highway 6. It moved to the butterscotch color. That is the office technology. And then we went to R4 north of that. Then in 2021, we came along and took 9 lots that abutted the R4 on the north and changed it to R4 out of the office technology. And we're talking about 4 of those 9 lots tonight. So back to that zoom in, those are the 4 lots on the east side of Porter Campus Boulevard that are now 5 years ago rezoned to R4. What's unique about our case, and one of the reasons why we're asking for some of these design waivers and we've asked for variances and been granted those in the past, is we're trying to create a residential subdivision in lots that are shaped for commercial. We also have a unique type of home, townhomes. Excuse me. In Indiana, we do not have townhome classifications. Many states do. We have condominiums, and I can make a condominium a townhome, but that's unusual. Many states have what is a townhome act that allows us to do a townhome project where we have 0 lot lines. And that's one of the processes, that's one of the unique features of what we're doing here. But again, we have lots that are 270 and 340 feet deep, because of the curvilinear nature of the lot, it's just an odd shaped lot. So with that, we're trying to create community within a community, which is frankly what a planned unit development exactly is. We received some variances last year in 2025 to allow for this project to proceed further. Minimum lot area was reduced to what is proposed on our primary plat. Lot width is 30 feet under the code. Ours are generally 20 feet because, again, this is zero lot line. And the overall tract of this has to be under your code 5 acres, and we don't have that in these 4 lots. So that brings us to the petition, and that is to have a variance to allow for our lots to front on a or rather, let me reverse it and talk in the negative, not to be on a public street. So these half of our lots are not on a public street. None of our lots have access to a public street. We are building a private street within or right through the middle of these 4 lots. And then the right-of-way standards is another provision in your code. So the first design waiver provides that every lot shall meet the following standards. And number 1, face an interior street that is a public street, and we are not. Our interior street is a private street. Our private street is 30 feet back to back.
Correct.
In a 35-foot wide easement. And on either side of that easement is utility easements. So the overall width of the easements, utility and access, is 55 feet, nearly the 60 feet that you would have for a public street. The beautiful thing is that the county doesn't have to maintain this. The homeowners will. Our lots total on these 4 lots, the primary plat when we come back to you, and of course that's the next step if you grant the design waiver, is to bring back a public hearing for a subdivision, an amendment to the primary plat that has these 4 lots. This private street will be maintained by the 28 homeowners. It will be extended further north to the existing R4 as this project goes to phase 2 and beyond. We'll have a homeowners association with the proper governance to maintain that. We believe that it will be built to the depth and the width and curbs and so forth that a public street would be. And then private streets are not permitted under the second design waiver we're asking for. Again, this is a private street, but it has all of the markings of a public street. Quite frankly, I'm not sure that if we built it, but for going to the courthouse, could you tell whether it was a public or private street? With that, John, Pat, and I are happy to answer any questions that you might have or those that come from the public. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, at this time, I'd like to open it up for a public hearing. Anybody like to speak for or against? We have nobody there, so we will close the public hearing. And before I turn it over to the members, does staff have anything?
Yeah, I'd like petitioner to explain how the houses will face either a public street or the private street. Maybe a little more detail on how to handle the parking street, because those were questions we had met with. And then lastly, driveways and how the houses are served with vehicles.
So as I understand it, all of the homes will be internally facing the private street. And the rest of the questions, Mr. Kremke, I'll let you address the details of the design.
Sure. Each home has a one-car garage, room for parking. There's parking in the driveway in front of the garage. And then guest parking or additional parking, sorry, I'm not close enough. Guest or additional parking is provided in some parking areas within the development, within walking distance of the home. So if there's a party, a guest, grandma stops by, whatever, there's a place to park. If not, if she can't park in the driveway, there'd be a place to park within a development.
And just to add, we've had multiple meetings with the petition professional team. Concern for us were those things that he just addressed: parking, pedestrian access to sidewalks, driveways so short that they would block the sidewalks, etc., like that. So I trust that the petitioner has done their job and kind of addressed those questions we had. And I'll turn it back over to you, sir.
Thank you. This time, turn over to the members. Kevin, do you have any comment?
Yeah, to start with, the multifamily residential R4 requires 30 feet lot frontage. These are all 20-foot lots. And I didn't see a request for a waiver of that or a variance.
That was one of the variances we received on March 25th of last year.
Okay, I didn't see that in the notes, but I brought that up in a letter for the DRC last week, and I hadn't heard a response on that. The next thing is if they're 20 feet wide, logically, if you have guests or people parking in the street, they're going to be blocking the driveway or ability to get in and out. And I heard that you're going to have off development parking someplace, or
Actually, it'll be within development. Is that better? No.
It's just not within each lot, but it's within the entire 4-lot development.
Where?
Right. Yeah.
This mic seems to be off. I'll try to speak loudly. Is it on? All right. The development is broken up into 5 blocks or 4 blocks of buildings, basically. And in between those 4 blocks is parking on both sides of the road.
Is this what you're talking about?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Like page 4 or something.
Yeah.
So with the
You see,
front of the outlots.
so with the 30.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kevin.
Correct.
Yes.
So with the 30-foot wide road, you're saying people will park on both sides?
You never know. And oh,
correct. The anticipation, Kevin, is again there's room in the driveway. We've made the setback from the easement sufficient that a car can park in the driveway without hanging the road or the sidewalk. And then the other parking is in that outlot. You see those wide areas
correct.
between the building. The parking would be in those areas between the 4 buildings.
I just have to wonder if that's going to be enough when somebody has a party or guest, but it won't be our problem except that they're going to be calling our police department and force,
Excuse me.
Their parking issues. I guess the next question is, are you going to post no parking signs or have some kind of control over parking in front of the houses?
I would think a no street parking sign would be a good idea in there.
Well, that's up to you. We're
I would think.
not providing them.
No, I think it'd be a good idea. That way it avoids some issues.
So that kind of answered my big question.
Okay.
Understand with 20 feet, that's pretty much the length of a car.
Correct.
And if you have people parking in front of every house, that would line up and effectively block everybody. The next question I had was with the nature of this private road is garbage pickup. I believe you said you're going to have individual, those going to be contracts for each one, not a dumpster, so I assume those are going to be out in the street someplace. So that, at least in my mind, could be a management issue. Here again, I hope our county police aren't called to settle some disagreements, but it's very problematic whenever we have these private streets and who takes care of them, who's responsible for them, what our liabilities are as a county. And the next question I mentioned the police, county police, but I have concerns about fire equipment. Have you talked to the fire department that serves this area?
We have not yet. That'd be the next step in the process that we're doing.
Okay, I just want to make sure
Yep.
communication there for public safety, because, and I agree with the comment Todd made, we don't have the UDO as much as that might have been a good tool in this case, and we don't really do condominiums, which I often suggest, because then you have common property ownership and share. In this case, you'll have individual owners, each will have their little piece of ground and their house to take care of, and a lot of common area. So I just need to see more on this, I suppose, as this goes along or evolves, to make sure that we have those facets of it in mind for public safety.
I think those are questions for the next step in the primary plat. We're not going to get very far if the fire department says we can't subdivide and serve 28 lots.
But I just wanted to bring it up.
I appreciate that, and it's very helpful for our team to be clued into those issues.
Yeah, so and it's relevant to the interior street. One of the reasons we kind of move people more to the public developed streets is to avoid a lot of those issues. But it is what it is. We do have this type of housing in other places in the county.
Interestingly enough, my clients, not just Mr. Clagy and his group, but my residential developer clients as a whole, we're seeing a market trend towards townhomes, cottage homes, small lots, and I don't think that Porter County or Valparaiso or Chesterton or Portage or any of the communities in the county are reactive to that. We have a beautiful opportunity because of where we're headed with our UDO and some changes to be able to maybe address those issues and address the concerns that we've never had to address before with zero lot lines. We don't really have a zoning that provides for zero lot lines. Those are variances in every instance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we actually had zero lot lines in Heritage Valley, for example. Learned a lot about how to deal with issues.
They have their own unique issues, party wall agreements, and so forth. Mm-hmm. And it's just I see, having done this for a while, I see that seems to be where the market is headed.
Okay, that's all.
Oh, good. Red?
Kevin asked all my questions. So the R4 property that's to the north,
yes,
that getting developed?
Eventually, yes.
Because I'm gonna ask you a question. I guess I'm pontificating, because I've lived out there for 20 years. Beautiful park, love it. It's absolutely gorgeous out there, by the way. I think it's, cramming this in here is a disservice to this whole park. If the R4 would have been developed or getting developed, and you would have said, hey, I have this little piece right here and we need to do something with it to make it, but to start off doing that, for me, like I said, the public safety, the private road in Sand Creek, they have a private road, same thing with name of the subdivision, and all the homeowners are fighting over, do we repave it, do we not repave it? It just brings down some of the other subdivision value, because we can't get the homeowners to want to pave the subdivision at it's their private road, and 30 people are in charge of it, and they're not crack sealing, they're not doing stuff like that. And I think that's a disservice to the subdivision, quite frankly.
One of the things that I would point out, um, we've had this project built. That road has been there for a number of years. Right after we originally got the final plat, Mr. Clagy's group built that road from Highway 6 to where it terminates now, just about where these four lots end, and the R4, the original R4, begins.
Mm-hmm.
That original R4 has some sensitive soils
Mm-hmm.
because we're headed towards that creek and the creek crossing.
Damon Run, right?
Exactly right. So we have not been successful in finding commercial and office technology, particularly office technology users, through the office technology. That's probably one of the largest parts of the overall development, and we've had virtually no development in that office technology. So we're trying to utilize the infrastructure that's already there southward. So this is the farthest north of that office technology adjacent to the R4. So that's where we're starting with the R4. We're not asking tonight for a change of use to allow it to be R4. That was already done 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, I know that. I just don't
Yeah.
sign waivers because I don't like the public road. I think there's too much crammed in. And I mean, that's just my opinion.
So do you not like the number of lots, or do you not like the private road?
Well, I don't like the private. I don't like the whole thing. Opinion. I don't like anything. I mean, it's at the private roads. I don't like the zero lot lines. I don't like. I just.
So if we added 5 feet and dedicated it to the public, does that make it?
Sign waivers that.
I guess my point is that I'm only 5 feet shorter than a public road. I'm going to build it to county standards. I'm going to have all of the easements on east and west. It, like I said in my initial comments, if you stood on this road as we built it, you couldn't tell whether it was a public or private road unless you went to the courthouse.
I know that, but when it is a private road, there's usually issues with private roads, and then with turnarounds and everything else, like with fire or school buses or whatever. I mean, we're just always worried about that as a school. That's there was a subdivision in Liberty Township. They did a design waiver, and the bus came and turned around.
Yeah.
So I'm, as a person, I'm trying to not do all these design waivers because I don't want to see these issues, in the future. So there's a reason why we have these, ordinances and things that we have to make sure we have the bus can turn around.
Right.
The stuff we have. So
I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
how many acres is it? The whole.
These 4 lots.
I know it said that it was
2.8. The 4 lots are 2.8 acres.
2.8 acres.
I share some of Red's concerns. It seems too.
Could you pull your mic?
I share some of Red's concerns. It seems awful dense for 2.84 acres, so I'm not going to repeat a lot of what Red already mentioned. I'd like to ask a little bit about the stormwater detention pond and where that development process is.
So this overall project, 109 acres, has multiple detention ponds that are already in place. And when the design of the stormwater for all of that was done in 2012, it was based upon all of the lots within the development, including these 4 lots, being developed to their maximum lot coverage capabilities. So we believe that the existing ponds can handle this development. With that said, we know from talking with Mr. Champion in the stormwater department that Mr. Kremke and his group are going to have to prove that the detention ponds that are in the project can, in fact, handle the stormwater generated by this, recognizing that we're going to get a credit, if you will, for the maximum lot coverage of the 4 lots that are laid out, because that's what was built back in 2012.
That's all I have.
Nikki?
A couple things that I'm looking at this page and I'm talking to. So I kind of echoed and was going to ask, what about the signage for, I'm sorry, am I close enough to? What about the signage for, again, no parking along the streets? But my other question is going to go to what about Journey Way and that Porter Campus Drive? Because if I was going to party at one of those houses and it said no parking on the interior street, that's my next move because I'm going to start parking on those other 2 streets.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that is a concern or not. But then also to kind of point out, like I said on that picture I showed, that is actually true. What they said the turnarounds. What is that plan? What is going to happen? I know it's technically in that R4 above it. How in the interim before that R4 is built, how emergency services going to be taken care of?
There'll be a temporary turnaround just as we would with any other development, which is developed in phases, phase 1, phase 2, and so forth. There'll be a temporary turnaround at the end of each phase.
Okay.
And Pam?
I have a question. Did you mention that you're going to put 1-car garages at each of these units?
Yes.
Is that
Yeah,
I hear that correct?
Yeah, the house designs from the developer show a 1-car garage in each unit.
So what happens if people move in and the majority of them have 2 cars? I mean, what's going to happen with all the cars, with all the
room in a driveway. Yeah, there's room in a driveway, and any additional parking would take up the cars.
So why just 1-car garage? Why not 2-car garage?
Yeah. Oh, in the next part, yeah. In the next phase, they will have 2-car garages on the plans. But he says this phase will have a 1-car garage. But the next phase will have homes with 2-car garages.
So there could be an issue then if people move in and the majority of them have 2 cars.
That is true, but I guess I have some faith in the buyers to know that they're either going to have a car outside in the snow in the winter, or they are, 1-car families.
Okay, that's it.
Commissioner?
I have the same concerns. The size, the public, the private streets. That never ever seems to work out, especially down the road. We've seen most of them come back to us. The 2.4 acres for the total thing here, just the size and the density of it. I don't, in my eyes, I don't see that. I do have a question here that I guess was asked at the development review committee. What happens when the HOA fails and the residents, ask for release of the maintenance of the private streets in the future? Was that addressed?
So, yes, there is no perfect answer to that. What I can tell you is that the developer, my client, will give the homeowners association every opportunity to succeed. With 28 homes in the first phase, I believe that they have a fighting chance. It's when you have these minor subdivisions, when you have 4 homeowners that have to agree, that I think is a problem. Now, the highway department sits on the DRC, and he challenged me on that comment. But again, I can only, as the developer's representative, give them the best opportunity, and that is with strong, robust covenants that provide that everyone has to contribute to the maintenance of the common areas, which include in this development that private road. They're all going to have to pay for common scavenger service, garbage collection. They're all going to have to pay for flowers and grass cutting. Sounds like and feels like a condominium, but I don't have the ability to create a condominium for many reasons. And we give that homeowners association every opportunity to succeed with the legal documents and the structure as a incorporated association to have the hammer to make sure that everybody participates.
Mr. Chairman, as long as we're on
Yes.
the topic of homeowners associations, one of the problems we've had historically, I believe, is they weren't incorporated. They didn't really bring in all the homeowners. They were social organizations rather than professional fiscal responsibility of the property owners. I assume you're going to have an incorporated one. How do we verify that?
So
Already.
I believe your UDO provides for 4 or 5 alternatives for these kinds of things. I don't know whether an unincorporated association is even possible under UDO. The reason why I don't know is I never allow my clients to go there. It's always an incorporated Indiana not-for-profit incorporated association. They have a board of directors, and there is a statute in Indiana that governs how associations, homeowners associations, have to operate. Elections, budgets, timing, transparency. It's an extremely robust set of oversight and governance. And if you don't do it right, you have to answer to the Attorney General. Tomorrow I have to file a response to the Attorney General and another association that I represent. So I know there is quite a bit of oversight.
And they're doing their job. And that's why I brought it up, because you're early in the process. We're listening to this, but we need some guarantees that
the other thing that is important, and I really make a point of 28, because 28 is a significant number to participate. When you have 28, in my experience, when you have 28 homeowners, nobody is sending out invoices once a year or once a month or every quarter to collect the dues from all of those 28. They hire a professional management company to do that. And guess what? A professional management company knows the good landscapers. They know who's going to plow the snow on a timely basis. They're in the profession of running communities like this. These 28 homeowners, they don't know that, but they'll have that opportunity because they're a significant organization from the get-go, from phase 1.
Speaking about 28, and this will be the last I'm going to say about this. On 2.84, right? Not 2.4, 2.848.
2.84. If I misspoke, I apologize.
Yeah, no, I just heard it from somebody else up here, and I thought that's I'm shocked, honestly. I mean, it's extremely fast. I can't believe with a private road with the 2.8. I mean, I've only been up there a year, but this is a doozy for me, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm a reasonable man. I try and look at the bright side of things, but honestly, I can't even believe this is in front of me, to be honest with you.
Commissioner, you have any more comments?
No, I mean, I feel the same.
Greg?
I'm trying to orientate myself on this, and can you tell me that's where it's at? Right, the highlighted yellow. Is that what the plan on putting?
Yes.
Is that it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I guess I'm looking at the Google map right now. Was provided with this. It looks like the road, like that, Border Campus Drive. Is that correct?
It is.
and back here.
That ends right there now too.
No, it continues further north.
Does it keep continuing?
It does.
How are you planning on? This is phase 1. We're going to go to phase 2.
Mm-hmm.
How is that going to hook back into? Is it going to hook back into the Porter Campus Drive, or how is it going to daylight at the end? Where's it going to?
Now, at some point in the design, as it continues further north, it will connect back into Porter Campus Drive. Yeah. At this point, the design isn't there yet, but the intention is to do that. It may do it more than one place too. We're not sure yet.
So the lots to the north, you're planning on dividing in half too, with a private road?
Right, that private road would extend through and then
That-
come back.
Gonna be a private.
Yeah, and then come back out on Porter Campus Drive at some point. Yeah.
That's my.
But at that point in time, north of these 4 lots is the originally zoned R4.
Yes. It's,
Yeah.
I'm just.
But that's going to be a different. It should be a different layout, though. I mean, with that.
It'll be phase 2 of this.
Right, but that's what I'm getting at is it's. We do this, and then I don't know how many acres that is, but man, you could fit 500 units back there. That would be. I don't think that's going to get built. I know back there. I mean, it's Damon Road. It's hard. It's tough. I get it. I'm just worried about turnarounds. It's just. There's just not enough right there.
Does anybody else have any comments? Staff have any more comments before we ask for a motion?
Sure. What I'd like to remind are, first of all, in the R4 zoning, if you go to the UDO, they do meet the density requirements. You can exceed no more than 10 units per acre. They are below that. So they check that box. So the density is right as far as our unified development ordinance goes. And matter of fact, they were given granted variance in March of last year. The lots typically are 30 feet minimum wide. They were granted 20 feet wide. Okay. So they got variances. So those go with the land. That's no longer a discussion anymore. I'll get to we discussed, just to clear up, to make you guys feel a little more comfortable. Staff did extensively on the time we met with them in pre-app meetings and at the DRC meetings and all. We did bring stormwater. Still premature to get. There's an existing stormwater system. Back in the day when the subdivision was laid out, the stormwater system was put in. It was put in anticipating, be it was office and technology at the time. All the ponds and all the pipes carrying things were designed to take this. That will be their task to do if they put better engineered plans on, which are downstream activity. Okay. And I think you answered the question. I just want to confirm, if this goes by itself and nothing else happens, the only access to Porter Campus Drive is the south end, right? The north end is a dead end stub to come to Porter Campus Drive.
It stubs. Within this development, it stubs.
Thank you. And then lastly, and petitioner did acknowledge at the RDC meeting, one factoid from history I want to present to you. When this thing was originally zoned CM, OT, R4, R1 back in 2021, 2022, whenever they did that, the original R4, not this R4 we're talking about, but the original R4, and the commercial had them too, but R4 had restrictions on it. And the only thing they could do, and correct me if I'm wrong, petitioner, but I got the impression is because they were trying to tie it to the medical campus, they were restricted to things like senior housing units, things like that. Now, when they rezoned the OT to R4, those restrictions weren't put on there. So that's really not a discussion point today. Just letting you know, if petitioner wants to continue, he's going to have to come in for additional variances or to get rid of those conditions as he goes north, which seems to make sense. So the bottom line is, if he didn't ask for these waivers, he's already got his variances. He meets most of our UDO, like I said, the density requirements, all those things he meets. He wouldn't be here.
Right, but he needs the density because he needs a private road, which.
Well, whether it's a private road or a public road, he meets the density requirements. And you're here to discuss the
right, like I said,
road.
Which I don't like the density. It's just my own opinion. Even though it meets it, I would go for it if it was a different design. But I don't like the design because it has a private road.
And that's what we're talking about.
Yes, private road to make that density work.
Exactly.
Okay, I just wanted.
But just so you know, the density, he's within the standards of our UDO. far as the number of units he can per acre. He's within those ranges. Now, you heard me talk about House Bill 1001, and it's conversations like this we're going to be having because this is the kind of thing that they're going to be looking for, I think, on a statewide basis. There is a market for this stuff. We just want to make sure we're doing it right. And there will be a lot more downstream activity. We'll work out all the engineering details, such as the stormwater and everything, as I said before. But again, if they wanted to just go ahead and put a public road, then we wouldn't be having this discussion tonight.
They need to put a public road in with the roundabout.
I mean, that's a good point. On the other hand, if we could make it work with the private road, that's an option too. I'm not telling you which to choose.
Would anybody like to make a motion?
Make a motion. You're gonna need a motion.
But they need a motion.
You don't have to make a motion. It's table or it gets.
What do we have to do? I'm new.
You have to,
If you are wanting to make a motion to approve, you just read the case number and say you approve as submitted. If you want to make a motion to deny, you read the case number and you say you would deny as submitted unless you have nuances, and if you have a partial approval, then you go through that.
I'd like to make a motion. Case number or docket number?
Case number is fine.
Case number? Where's the case number at? Where's the docket number?
Same thing.
Same thing.
Or docket number.
DW 2026-5. I move to deny.
Second.
To deny it. Just move on.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Yes, it's no.
That's all right.
No is to move on.
I'm sure my scribble was clean enough.
in the case of DW-2026-5 on the motion to deny the request, the votes are as follows. Kevin Brightsky, yes. Bob Gilliana, no. Craig Kenworthy, yes. Arvid Merkner, yes. Pamela Mishler-Fish, yes. Ed Morales, yes. Red Stone, yes. Nikki Witowski, yes. The motion denied prevails. 8-1.
Thank you for your time and attention.
7-1. I'm fine.
We'll move on now to date on comprehensive plan.
Give me a minute to get organized. Last night, we had a public workshop out at the Expo. It was fairly well attended, about 5 to 65 people. Had some nice, robust discussion. Our consultant had some activity boards and workstations scattered around the perimeter of the room. The expo in the patio room was a good place to hold this event. It gave us a lot of space to work. So that information will be taken and digested along with all the information we've collected to date. And hoping the next thing in March, we're going to have a steering committee meeting. Some of you people that sit here on this panel here are members of the steering committee, so we'll be getting together on that, and they'll be presenting the information to you then. Our aim is probably by the second quarter, we will have some draft documents to share with you. First, the Plan Commission will send it up to the commissioners. They will eventually approve this document in the form of an ordinance. So I'm really excited to get this thing going, and I think all of us are. It's going to be really interesting to see what the public has to say, where our direction is. And that kind of ties into House Bill 1001 as well, because as I mentioned to you earlier, we got to be thinking about that. Like I said, it could have been worse, but we got to be thinking about housing, like we were talking about today. They had to go get variance for zero lot line, things like that. Not saying we're forcing them on you, but staff is going to have to do our homework and bring back to you. Maybe the committee will use them as a sounding board, but bring to you ideas, maybe zoning areas where we want these to occur, what we want them to look like, and things like that. I think the legislature gave us that chance to do that, and I'd like to take advantage of that. So in some cases, we got time limits of 1 year and 2 years. Most of it's 2 years. So we got our work cut out for us over the next 1 to 2 years. So there's that. The Plan Commission subcommittee. I was hoping to have a meeting now, but we got kind of waylaid and some other activities. We will have that in March. Both Susan and I were just talking today to come up with some simple cases that we address with them. Some of those are these Connex boxes that we got scattered. County code enforcement's dealing with those on a frequent basis. I think we need some direction on those. But there's some other things. We're just going to make them small. We're not going to tackle big things a whole bunch at the same time. Lastly, as a result of our last, you have another graphic. It looks like a flow chart. And I don't mean tonight to go particularly over each and every one of them. But I think when you stand back and look at it, it gives you an idea of the process. And this thing could deviate depending on what they're doing. I think that good oil case that you heard before that they'll take. News on that is we've been meeting with them, see what we can work out and see what they can do. That will be coming in a future meeting. But if you're go to a good from zone all the way down to development, so you're going on the left column, that's the order you go down. Then when you're in those zones, you go left to right. And that our box up there, the green box in the upper right-hand corner, that's where we're at with those guys. So after that, it's got to go through all those other steps in there. If they need design waivers, they got to come back to the Plan Commission. They need development standards variances, and they got to go to the Board of Zoning Appeals or the hearing officer. And then if they got a development plan and then the subdivision control, those are kind of parallel paths. They eventually come back to the Plan Commission in some form because they need subdivision control. So they're wanting to subdivide that property, so that isn't going to happen until they come back to you again. And then, of course, in development, they got to make a submittal. Staff, you've done all the homework, everything preceding it. You've given variances, you've given waivers. There may be commitments they made on a document at the Plan Commission. Staff takes those on hand when they make their submittal down at the bottom. We do the review based on the UDO and anything you instructed us to do, as far as any deviations from any of the rules or anything. So we can issue a permit if they meet all those requirements. Of course, there's inspection, we got closeout and things like that. So again, I'm not intending to get into the weeds on what all these are. We're going to continue to do these kind of sessions where we're going to bring something to you at the meetings. And it'll be like a 5-10 minute classroom session when we bring something for you. Maybe germane to cases we see coming up in the future, so we can always be in our best game. But we really appreciate all your questions and input. After the last meeting, I got calls saying I asked too many questions. No, there is never a case of not too many questions, because what you say, even though you're in the beginning, staff remembers that stuff as we go downstream through all these activities. I think Kevin can speak to that being here probably the longest tonight. But it is important what the various committees say. Staff takes that to heart. That's our guidance that we use. So, are there any questions?
I have a quick question.
Yes.
I'm not a builder. I don't know a lot about building, but in 2026, are there a lot of single family structures being built with one car garages?
No.
No.
Matter of fact,
Absolutely not.
I saw my first 4-car garage not too long.
That's stopped in
I wish I had a 5.
Yeah.
I mean, you could almost.
Before we get off this what the department has put up, I just want to point out a slightly different way of looking at the exact same concept. Part of the reason why staff is hoping that we can make this make more sense is because when you come in, let's say we go back to Good Oil as an example, just because that's an easy one that we know where they're at for a zoning amendment. So if you know they're here for a zoning amendment, then if you have the ability to look at the entire process, then when you're looking at it, it allows you to concentrate on the finite amount of things that you can concentrate on that zoning amendment. So we're not there to worry about whether their stormwater pond's big enough. You guys get to know when you're at that zoning amendment stage that our code is there to protect us. If they're not going to follow our code, they're coming back either to you or to our BZA to address that. So it's not about not bringing those things up, but it's also about focusing on those things that if you're worried about the driveway or you're worried about side yard setbacks, you can miss some of the bigger zoning issues because that is when we're more scoped out and we're looking at a higher level. And as you come into a design waiver, now you're down at this level, that you're really in the weeds. And so this flow chart is to help everyone understand where they're at so that the amount of attention and time everybody has between meetings focused on those things that are going to be the most meaningful when we get here. And then also so you don't have the fear that if I don't bring everything up, it's gone forever. The code is always there behind us unless somebody comes in and gets a variance or a waiver, they got to follow it. And if we can get there where everyone understands that better, it'll maybe be a little bit more.
And another way to look at it, they're only coming to us because they can't meet everything in our rules. If they could meet everything in our rules, like it was already subdivided, it was already zoned, they got all their setbacks, they got all their ways, they don't need variances, they don't need design waivers, then all they got to do is their development plan satisfy us that they met all the rules. They'd never see a board. So it's when they need something is when this takes effect. They either come to the plan commission, the BZA hearing officer, etc.
Had a quick question on the House bill. A little bit I've seen, they have a habit of reappearing after they're defeated. They seem to show up later in other formats, or is there a chance of that?
I think the deadline to pass amendments was Monday.
In this session, but
Yeah.
it could reappear.
Oh, they can do anything they want.
Oh, sure, it could appear again in summer session.
And if that passed, not one of them should ever get reelected again, in my opinion. That's it.
Well, here's
Formal bill.
the thing. It was a lesson. I got to meet a lot of people. Commissioner Morales and I went down, met some great people representing organizations. There were some really outstanding young people that represent. Tara Hope was a great speaker. Bunch of good people. They weren't there trying to be negative about it. They're trying to be productive. Of course, there was the people that were proponents of bills such as the Indiana Building Association, the Realtors Association. There is a market out there for housing that is not being served right now. So they were trying to say zoning is the cause of that. Zoning is not the cause of that. Zoning is a small part of it. There's other things such as material costs, labor costs, et cetera, infrastructure. We're going to have to come to grips with that because it's going to be the thing of the future. I mean, there's families that want to get started and build a house. What was it? The median income, we saw this from our comprehensive plan data. The median cost of a home in Porter County is $315,000. Okay.
Yep.
But the thing about that is, you can pass all the laws you want. It's basic economics.
It is.
At the end of the day, I mean, you can only have 0 lot lines. You can only have no car garages. You can park. You know, I mean, there's only so many things you can do because lumber's lumber, roof's a roof, concrete's concrete, and infrastructure's infrastructure.
Correct.
And that's what always makes me laugh is everybody thinks that they can, you know, outsmart the market. I mean, it's unless you're building them tiny homes. And I'm being serious. That's probably going to cost you 40 grand.
Even more for the tiny homes.
Right.
100.
Yep.
But I guess I would say that dealing and helping Mike, put that together. I would say this, and I'm trying not to sound like it's, red is coming, but we are gonna have to deal with our density before it's taken away from us. And so I'm not suggesting what we've seen so far is what we should do, but the density and how we want it and where we want it, I would suggest we get in front of that as soon as possible, because we were successful, but from what I was involved, this is not going away. Now, I agree with you, Red, as far as you can go zero, you got lumber's lumber, carpenters are carpenters. But we're going to get the request for the more density, and we're going to have to figure out where we're comfortable with it as far as driveways and side yard setbacks and things like that. Again, before it's taken away from us, and we were pretty close this time around. I think just to cap off what he's saying, the Senators came to the rescue on home rule, to be honest with you. They really did. I don't know if Commissioner Morales agrees with me.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I mean, that was the only saving grace, but they don't want to ever address the infrastructure issues, which even a lot of the different people who spoke to try to solve something, like you mentioned, the mayor over there, they just want to focus on the fact that we're charging too much per minutes and we're not approving anything, but they're not looking at the underlying issue. And if you lose that right, well, then you're going to end up with, some of the messes that we're trying to correct now that were built many years ago. And so that's the real issue. And I'd like to focus, as we look at this, especially on the zoning part, because, one of the things that I see in this is that, and I know you can do with exceptions for the approval of zoning or whatnot, but some of these things look like they should be rearranged here, because once you rezone something, you can't take that back. So, however this is put, if this is the law or however this is done, maybe we should focus a little more on the zoning, because we have so many things. Look at all these waivers. Well, they're concepts, but yet, will they turn out to be what they're supposed to be? Well, we don't know, because we got to go down here and we have to redo all this. But in the meantime, it's been changed. So, it's just maybe we should then focus a little more on what you can do with some of these zoning things, or we approve the zoning because there's just too many ifs in most of these. I mean, look at this development. It was supposed to be a high-tech development, and it didn't turn out to be that way. And then we find out some of the subsoils, well, you're never going to have high-tech development there anyway. So is that entire plan eventually going to change? I know it's not for us to decide, but what ends up happening is those problems end up coming back to the county many years ago and get dumped on labs to figure out in a cost structure. How do we fix it now? So, you can always do more education or whatever you need to do, but maybe we start with some of those things. What exceptions can you have? Once that train has left the station, and so because you have a legislature that sees one thing. They don't come down here and they don't see, well, we have an infrastructure problem, or you're going to put these things where we have no sewer, water. I mean, it baffles me to some degree. I know this is a big state. You have different things built in different areas, but when you're going to build a massive, structure and you're not connected to sewer, I mean, it's baffling to me, especially in these housing units. So, I mean, I think there needs to be, maybe we start with different aspects of it and work on those.
I agree with that. The thing that it just always bothers me, everybody talks about like apartments or like multi-families. Oh my God, it's bad. I'm in Illinois a lot. You go down some of them roads, there's triplexes, fourplexes. They're all brick. They're beautiful. You know, they're 50 years old, 40 years old. It's a shame because around in Indiana, people throw these things up, people live in there, and the landlords don't take care of them. And then it's not the people go, and then the landlord, they don't do all the stuff, and people wonder, it's almost like, you know, why do we not like all these multi-units or apartments? Because they're built in the cheapest materials possible, and in 10 years, they look horrible, and the landlords don't take care of them. And I think, go ahead, Scott, that's just...
Well, I want to dovetail right there because one of the key, and we've heard it tonight, and I want to make sure everyone understands the concept of why I think it addresses some of those concerns that you are flushing out. If, and I'll use rear loading townhomes, okay?
Mhm.
Well, you can own those in one way where one person owns it. They're supposed to be taking care of it, and it runs more like an apartment complex, even though it looks like that. But the whole concept of this zero lot line on those buildings is so that they are sold individually and owned individually. So if you've got that 10 rear loading townhome facade, you've got 10 in a row. They all got common walls. They all have back and forth on the front. They normally have that brick exterior on the front, so we get that clean streetscape that you're referring to out of the brownstones.
Right.
But with the zero lot line, see, we hear that and we think, holy crap, we're right on the line, and that's a bad thing. But now think about it in the middle of the townhome, between 5 and 6, that's the zero lot line. We've done that so that it's individual ownership, so that we're trying to take the rental out of it and we're trying to make it individual ownership, or making the market in such a way that that's the most encouraged economic option available, so we don't have to police it. So that if we then backfill with individual ownership, some, not all, but some of the issues you were flushing out can be addressed that way. So that's the zero lot line that I've seen in some of the cities and towns. I think we've had it here, but the very easy way to think about it is the duplex that has the zero lot line down the middle. So you end up with 2 residential properties with 2 single family ownerships. So that's part of the zero lot line beyond the traditional. You're building all the way to the line and there's no green space.
There are zero lot line houses in Porter County, particularly in Heritage Valley, where it's a single family house, but it's pushed all the way to one side. And we have to make sure we have maintenance easements on the side that's got the zero lot line.
So that's another way of the zero lot line. Yeah. When Heritage Valley is not what Kevin is saying, we push to one side, push to the other, so we can get to the backyard for the things that occur in backyards. That is one of the zero lot line discussions. The other one is when you're going down a party wall, and that party wall, then you start to get into maybe you do have some economic reasons why that's less expensive, because now you're building, basically one big building with 10 units in it, one roof, lots of common walls. It's not magic, but there's some potential savings along with single family ownership.
Mike had mentioned the average house price was $350,000.
315.
315,000. But keep in mind, the kid at McDonald's now is making $18 or $20 an hour too.
Yeah, but that's what.
It's all relative on some of
for less a year.
Yeah. For flipping burgers, that's a good buck.
I think the bottom line is, Ed and I, an 11-hour day together, we talked about that and a lot of things. Scott and I have talked a lot. I've talked to the staff. I've talked to other people. The bottom line, we dodged a bullet in this session, the way I see it. And they prevailed, common sense prevailed, and we got a 1-year due on what kind of permits we prosecute, and we got 2 years to come up with something where we can examine our UDO, examine our zoning map, to come up with creative solutions that we all agree upon. So I look at that as a blessing, because I was really thinking, man, this is a horrible bill.
It was. When it passed out of committee, even though they were admitting it was a horrible bill, fix it on the floor. I was surprised. I thought
Who drafted?
they were just going to pass it.
Do you know who?
Develop.
Was it Miller?
Representative Doug Miller out of Valparaiso.
He's a builder.
Okay.
But the problem,
Prevailed in common sense. The home rule came back, but you know, they gave us a gift. We better exercise it.
Yeah, and that's okay. I mean, we could sit here and ponder that out.
But even if we try and fix it, they can still down stakes. I've seen this times. Do what they're going to do, and we still have to.
Well, that's the other part which we'll work on. I think we need a seat at the table. They're going to meet in summer session and talk about these things. Somehow we got to get our seat at the table at that, or at least the organizations we belong to, like the Indiana Association of County Commissioners and Association of Indiana Counties. We got to have a representation at that table because it was obvious it wasn't at the table with.
No, because I mean the room was filled with commissioners and they all had these same questions. I mean, it's not that anybody doesn't want, to build these things. That's not the issue. The issue is that you're going to allow a developer to go in, bypass us, and just build it, but yet we're responsible for the infrastructure that don't exist, or the failing infrastructure that doesn't exist when we just had a bill that said we have to do more with less. So so there were a lot of the majority of the commissioners. I didn't see one, even ones that have done things like this for housing. They've seen a lot of problems with this bill. So, I think that's where that prevailed a little bit. But it wasn't that anybody didn't want to do this or doesn't pass permits, because they tried to say, well, it's because what did they ask? What is the cost of what are the permits cost to build something? They want to throw the blame somewhere else or not question the commodities market. Why 2x4s $15 a piece now? So, but what it basically came down to was the fact that hey, listen. Nobody's against building these things. It's just we have some serious infrastructure problems, and you just can't make this happen tomorrow night because you're going to create a bigger problem. So it's like with all these bills that are down there, they're tired of hearing of all these excuses, and basically what they're saying is, all right, well then you guys figure it out, but we want to make sure we're going to come back to you because if you don't figure it out, we're going to figure it out for you. So we bought some time with this, but that's how a lot of.
Would we have any designs? What me is, you look at other places in Indiana, and they have duplexes and apartment buildings. Chesterton has a beautiful apartment building, all brick. It's gorgeous. And then, I look at it as I have no problem doing that as long as it looks nice,
sure,
aesthetic. It's going to stand the test of time, right? Over the Dollar General on 6 in South Bend, where I took my son to hockey, that thing looked like $1 million in South Bend. It had landscaping, all brick, and then over here on 6, it looks like a pole barn. So I'm going. Why can't we make sure if we build things that the stuff at least looks halfway nice,
and works
works?
Well,
it's functional
with what we can, make work infrastructure wise, because it's all this building came fast, and it's kind of like putting the cart before the horse. So you're trying to play catch up, and now down there in downstate they don't want to hear that because you have a lot of powerful lobbyists for the housing and for these developments, and under the affordable housing umbrella, yet nobody really wanted to discuss when the average cost of these units were still going to be above what affordable housing is. So it's just going to be a matter of we're just going to have to come up with something so that we have a plan to where we want them, where they should go, what type of infrastructure needed, and how to pay for that. So, because that's the real issue. Again, if we don't figure it out, because that's kind of the common theme with all the bills even that were passed today. Look, you either figure it out or we are. And if I can't hear an argument, because they don't really want to hear a lot of argument, we're just going to pass this bill, even though we think it's not that great. We're doing something to do something. I mean, that was my take on it. Even with a lot of these other bills. So, like you said, we have time, right? A little bit of time, a year and a half.
Just can't waste it. And we're in a really good place in that. Think of it. We're going to have a comprehensive plan here in the second quarter that's updated from the one in 21. Now, I think there's some basic things in there that are not going to change from 25, but I've lived in Porter County my entire life, as Kevin has and a few others in this room. Porter County is we value our agricultural land. We hold on to it dearly. The comp plan last time had suggested that, and I think this one's going to say the same thing. But we also can't escape the fact that we're more of an urban county nowadays. We're not the rural county we were 20, 30 years ago and beyond. So we got to have to start thinking that way. And the key to this is we can use zoning and our UDO to our advantage to say, we want that. And just like you said, Red, we want architectural elements and all that. We can accomplish that. And we can also say through the zoning, we want it to occur here, or we want it to occur in this way in a mixed use development of different kind of housing or commercial or whatever, which we don't do a lot of commercial, but we got a golden opportunity to paint our own painting here is a simple way to put it. We got the comp plan coming up. It's going to give us fresh ideas what the pulse on the public is and everything else. I'm looking forward to this venture here in the next 2 years.
Yeah, because it'll answer a lot of the questions and the calls that we get in the commissioner's office. Why here? Why is it? What are the rules? What rules? So it'll define a path forward for the future, which is a little bit overdue. So it's all positive.
Yes, it is.
The two realities are the home builders are the strongest lobby downstate.
Mm-hmm.
This is coming back. And the second reality is the home builders are going to push the envelope regardless of what we put up. The thing is, we just have to make it as law-proof as possible.
Well, just so you know, even before this House bill came up, I had approached 3 builder developers that I think do a decent job, see them often and all that. And we are engaging them to get what is the impediment to do this? And I'm saying we have to agree with them, but I'd like to hear what the other side has to say so that we can mold what we want with what they want, which is reasonable.
And Mike, I did the same thing. I met with Vic Roberts, Mark Markovich. There was about 5 or 6 builders in Chesterton. They were trying to do some stuff at the Brassy, and those guys are absolutely phenomenal as far as the knowledge that they have to give ideas. I mean, I was blown away at a couple meetings that they were talking about with the Brassy, what they can do in building materials and what some different things that the ideas that they had. So.
You're absolutely right. We can't do this in a vacuum. We got to bring people on the outside in and get their perspective too. Doesn't mean we have to agree with everything, but we got to listen to where they're coming from.
And by the way, Vic was at your meeting Monday night.
No, was he?
Yeah.
Vic's a good dude. He's a great.
Althoff was at our.
He's a good guy.
I love Vic. So.
Vic's a good dude, man. Very good guy.
But thank you for
Thank you.
Ed, I thank you for helping champion.
Yeah, thank you, Mike and staff. That's a lot of good information.
Yeah.
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
So be it.